Colchester Hospital are taking legal action for mistakes which they believe killed her.
Julia and Chris Cowlin from Holland-on-Sea near Clacton say their baby Sophie would have survived if she'd been delivered earlier. The hospital says they've apologised to the couple and will not defend the legal claim. Lorna Ramsey has more on that story.
Chris Cowling is struggling to come to terms with the death of his daughter Sophie. She was stillborn at Colchester Hospital in February last year, and her funeral was held at this church in St Osoph. This medical trace of the baby's movements in the womb shows a caesarean section should have been made earlier. The hospital has apologised for the breach of care, but Chris feels lessons haven't been learnt.
You never ever expect to bury your own child, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and words cannot describe it. It's very painful. The hospital have failed us big time, and they need to improve their services.
2 members of staff here were investigated following Sophie's death. The doctor involved was given a warning by the General Medical Council, which will stay on his record for 5 years. The Nursing and Midwifery Council found the midwife involved had no case to answer for. The Trust has apologised to the Cowlings and have offered their condolences. In a statement, they told us, as a result of our investigation into this case, the Trust has taken measures such as providing additional training and communication in order to minimise the likelihood of this type of tragedy happening in the future. But Chris and his family are having to deal with this tragedy now. He and his wife Julia have 2 other children, Harry, who's 3, and Amy, who was born in March. They're a joy for their parents, but the death of Sophie is something Chris and his wife will never get over. Lorna Ramsey, Anglia News, Holland-on-Sea.
Well, next, the end for council reform in Norfolk and Suffolk and the chance to set up your own school. Just 2 of the proposals in the Queen's speech today.
At the state opening of Parliament, the coalition government confirmed it will reverse plans to give Norwich more powers and will also scrap the proposed national ID card scheme.
Well, our political correspondent Matthew Hudson joins us live now from Westminster. Matt, plenty of pomp and ceremony as usual today, but behind that, a firm commitment in a number of areas that will directly affect our area.
That's right, Jonathan. 23 bills in the Queen's speech, and as you say, some of them will very directly affect people like us. So, as you say, no ID cards, more school academies, the chance for parents to set up their own schools within the state system, more power for local government and communities when it comes to planning matters. But in amongst all of that, a great big bucket of cold water aimed at the face of Norwich City Council. The pomp and ceremony of the Queen's speech doesn't change. But this is a very different Parliament. The first coalition government for 65 years, introducing a raft of new legislation which will affect all our lives.
My government's legislative programme will be based upon the principles of freedom, fairness and responsibility.
One responsibility the new government has taken upon itself is to stop Norwich City Council becoming a unitary authority. The council hope to take over running the city's education system, social services and much more. Part of the new local government bill will put paid to that. Nearly £3 million has already been spent on the project. Has it been wasted?
We have actually used quite a lot of the work that we've done, as I said earlier, for introducing things like the neighbourhood structure. So we have actually made quite a lot of efficiencies as a result of that. A lot of the work will remain valuable and will go on into the future.
The new government says scrapping the schemes in Norwich and in Exeter will save taxpayers £40 million. The plan was strongly opposed by Norfolk County Council.
Well, I think it's been a big distraction. It's held up loads of plans we've had here to improve services across Norfolk. We're really pleased it's over, we think. And we look forward to actually improving the services across Norfolk for all Norfolk residents, where they'll get really good value for money.
Elsewhere, there could be good news for those in rural areas longing for faster broadband. There will be moves to make installing it cheaper by sharing existing infrastructure.
Matthew, back to you. It was a big day for one of our region's MPs, wasn't it?
Indeed, Peter Lilly, the MP for Hitchin, was invited to make the first speech of the new Parliament, and traditionally that is something of an honour. Of course, he's a very experienced parliamentarian. He was first elected in 1983, but when I spoke to him earlier today, he admitted he was feeling a little nervous and also a little unsure as to why he'd been asked.
Well, the cynics say that it's typically given to a seconder and a proposer and a seconder, who are described as an old codger on the way out and an oily young man on the way up. So I protested that I fitted neither of these descriptions, but apparently I must have fitted the first.
So there you have it. It's been a great day for the tourists, it's been a great day for the monarchists, and I guess the real graft starts tomorrow.
It does indeed. Thanks, Matthew. Stay with us here on ITV Anglia for all the news where you live.
Plus, we're going to bring you the extraordinary... The Environment Agency in Cambridge has issued a warning about tombstoning. It's where people jump into the river from bridges.
The warning comes as the weather improves and people might be tempted to jump in. But the agency says there can be unseen dangers lurking below the surface. Stuart Leeds has this report.
When the sun's shining, the waters of the River Cam can look tempting. But the Environment Agency is warning against people doing this, so-called tombstoning into the river, saying it could be as deadly as the name suggests.
It could be shallow water, they can hurt themselves. It could be deep water. The temperature can be very cold. In the water and underneath it, it's very dirty. You can't see what obstructions are in place. Could be shopping trolleys, bicycles, roads, pins, metal stakes, anything. And if people jump in, then that's the concerns. Are they going to really hurt themselves or kill themselves?
The Cam Conservators are the navigation authority for the river, and they say they will take action against anyone seen jumping in.
Anyone who we do see jumping off a bridge could be prosecuted for that offence, and we do take it very seriously. So if we do have any reports, we will endeavour to follow those up and chase witnesses to provide statements to us, so that we can take those people to court.
The dangers of tombstoning were illustrated just a few years ago when in 2006 a woman jumped in just a little bit further up the river and became impaled on a submerged punting pole. She suffered severe abdominal injuries. So for anyone tempted by this dangerous pastime, the name tombstoning itself should perhaps be taken as a warning. Stuart Leeds, Anglia News, Cambridge.
The public are being asked for their opinion on the future of a stretch of coastline in Norfolk and Suffolk. A consultation on the management of the shoreline from Kelling down to Lowestoft is due to run until the 2nd of July.
Formula One driver Heikki Kovalainen got a taste of